I could actually do this.
No, you can't have it.
It's great to win an award.
It is a complicated industry.
Welcome to the UK series. Hello and welcome to part of our UK series. My name is Mario Dodic. I am heat pump trainer and founder of HVAC Education Hub, where we talk all things related to heat pumps. My guests today on Installer Show are Rich from Heat Engineer Software, located in Oxford, and Denzil from Ecoerne Consulting, located in Northern Ireland. Our main discussion will be in how accurate heat loss is important, how software can help us, and how basic knowledge and foundations could help us in our business. Welcome guys, happy to have you here. Rich, how you decided to start software about heat loss calculations, and what was the main driver to do that?
So it was about 10 years ago when I was a subcontractor and a consultant for other plumbing and heating companies, and they wanted someone to take on doing the heat loss calculations, and at the time it was just like a spreadsheet, and my job was getting quite cumbersome. It was slow to do that process, and I wanted to adapt it, so found every single week I was adapting that spreadsheet to improve that process, to make it faster and faster, and then I realised that people started to ask for this report that was generated from this spreadsheet, and they wanted to buy the spreadsheet from me, and I was like, actually, no, you can't have it. And I was like, clearly there's a demand for it, and realised that I needed to build this into a software, into an app, because there was so much like need for something that's to make the job quicker and easier whilst you're on site, to do these room by room heat loss calculations. So essentially it was born out of frustration, and there was nothing else around. You know, we're looking about 10 years ago, so yeah, there really wasn't anything around apart from the spreadsheet. So yeah.
Denzil, how you can see the, let's say, heat engineer as a software and accurate heat loss calculations? You are a big fan of education, of basic knowledge. You even won this award on really good design. How you can see this collaboration and help in your everyday job?
Well, we're in a very unique situation where a couple of years ago the heat engineer guys helped me set up the training centre in Northern Ireland, and basically it's a heat engineer approved training centre. We set it up in the manner that over in Northern Ireland a lot of the engineers are there, and they have a lack of, I wouldn't say a lack of knowledge, but a lack of confidence of working with heat pumps. And I noticed a bit of a gap in the market, and obviously had done the Heat Geek training and been using Heat Engineer for several years, and I could see an opportunity where I could help oil and gas engineers transition into heat pumps. And as I say, we set up the training centre, and the guys helped me set up the training centre, and we use the software. But we're slightly unique from the point of view of, although I train the guys and I use the software as a good tool to actually give the guys confidence of how to go in, how to do a proper heat loss, but also understand the fundamentals behind it. But I suppose the unique slant that we have is it doesn't end, it's not just a training course with us, because the guys, whenever they finish the day training course, they have the opportunity to go way off and try their own house or an example building. They then have the opportunity to come back, and as a consultancy service, we can help them on their first install, and we can help them with their paperwork ongoing. And so we're offering a full solution. Now, the award that we won was we were entered into the Viessmann top of the Scops, and again, another unique situation. We took 3 of the graduates from the actual training itself, and I got the graduates to actually help me design right from scratch. So we took the heat loss, and we started it off with the Heat Engineer software. We went right through from green field, let's say, to right through to all the various different pipe sizing, the unit sizing. We looked at, it was a retrofit, we looked at all the existing pipe work and all the existing emitters, and we sized that all appropriately. And the end result then, and we introduced water quality and the like. So it was a perfect example of how to do the thing properly. And again, we were very fortunate, and yes, it's great to win an award, but what we're really satisfied is that all the guys that were involved in that project went through the training. Some of them had no experience from heat pumps, and then on their first heat pump project, they've ended up winning an award. And awards are good, but the satisfaction of being able to deliver that and successful training was brilliant, and really enjoyed the experience.
Rich, heat engineer as a software and heat loss calculations from the outside. This is a software, we are frustrated with something, but in the background it's a lot of work, not only from, let's say, our business, but for software engineering business.
Yeah.
How are you approaching that part with all of these changes and the feedback from the market? And how are you staying up to date with your engineers building a software? Because you need to understand the software, heat loss calculation behind the whole industry as a one solution.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think like we live in a day and age where technology is advancing, not just like every week, month now. It's almost every day. Certainly with like the AI tools and stuff. But in our heat pump world, in the heat loss sort of world. How can we utilise those advancing tools with their own software? And that's what we're kind of looking. That's what our software engineers are looking at on a daily basis. There's a couple of things to really look at here. It's like, okay, how can we make the process really easy and quicker, and give our heating engineers, plumbers, options? So make it really inclusive, because we all work in different ways. So making it very diverse and inclusive is really important for us to ensure that our software facilitates for that. So different options. How would you work on site? How would you work off site? Are you receiving plans? Have you got the new, the new iPad Pro or iPhone Pro with the LiDAR technology? So all those different options need to be provided to users, because we all work in different ways. Knowing what inputs to input in there is another thing where how can you make it easier? Because if someone sat down with the European standard and learned that back to back, it's far too time consuming, and actually you don't need to be an expert in it. And that's the whole point of why people develop software, because we take on board that kind of that necessity of understanding the calculations and then put that into the software itself, using code. So I think we're always striving to innovate, to actually develop our tools, to see what's out there, to make this surveying process easier, and also to any information which an installer might question mark think, what's this for? We'll provide that information separately as well. Like, okay, click this button here, it explains it into a little bit more detail. So that's what we've been doing recently as well. Like, okay, lots of information like icons, click on it, it'll take to a page if you really do want to know about what it means. Otherwise, you can continue as you want to complete that room-by-room heat loss calculation. So, yeah.
Denzil, you have your own training center. I'm setting up mine. I'm now building up an online educational platform. I'm from Croatia, you are from UK, you said Northern Ireland, some different things than England, a lot of these things. How can you see the role of education, as we also explained and Rich said, AI today, a lot of different tools, how to combine everything, let's say from in-person meetings, in-person education, educational platform online, videos, books, how to incorporate everything to some kind of a collaboration, what we are doing also now.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think, again, it's a very good question, and again, it's something that we're actually looking at now. Again, what we try to do in our training on the face-to-face, and I'm an engineer from background, and again, like a lot of the plumbers and installers and heating engineers, I'm very hands-on, and I like to get hands-on, and one of the things we do in the training is we're not all about theory. We do quite a bit of theory, but we need to make sure that the theory is put into practice as well. So we give the guys an opportunity to actually survey my own training facility. So they actually go around and they actually get a chance to measure the fabric of the building. But critically, and most importantly, is that previous to this, they've understood the theory of what U-value is and how important insulation is, and then they actually get an opportunity to measure the fabric of the building and understand why we have used the U-value and why it is important. And I suppose that mix of theory and practical is great. But one of the most important things I think from an education point of view is, and what I'm finding very much, is that if you give the confidence, you can give the knowledge, but sometimes the guys actually need, the trainees actually need the confidence to actually use that knowledge and use the software to actually go out. And again, what we find is with that bit of practical training, even as much as just surveying the building, it gives an inbuilt sort of confidence to say, well, listen, I could actually do this in my own job. I could go out and do my first job. And I suppose it's when we get through the various different steps of surveying and get to the point where this is the heat loss and the heat loss is this at this temperature, it's nearly like a light bulb moment, and go, I get it now. I now understand what it's about. And obviously there's a lot more to it, but we find that confidence. But again, as you say about the collaboration, some of those guys that are coming back to us want more. There's a wee bit of a thirst for knowledge, and they go, right, I get that. I want to go into more depth of why we do this, and why hot water, for example, is a big one. So as I say, I think there's a lot of room for in-person training, but also online, and as much knowledge as possible.
Thank you, guys. Just for last question for Rich, I'm asking this to everyone. What will be your message to our listeners and to engineers, because our industry is really interesting and a lot of things are happening now. How to build up confidence just to enter in the industry, because a lot of people are missing in our industry, a lot of qualified people. What would be your advice? Okay, let's come to our industry and help us doing these things.
Wow, I think like exposure. So if someone's really interested in getting to the industry, I mean, is the question, is it aimed at young people, people in the mid, you know, I don't know, the 40s, the 50s or something like that? But I think it doesn't matter, essentially, it doesn't matter how old you are, exposure to the industry is really important. So it could be, you know, someone who wants to do an apprenticeship, or someone who's about to do an apprenticeship. If they want to get into our industry, you know, do some work experience or something. But equally, if someone is in their like 40s and they want to change a career or something like that, ask if someone can go along take a ride with a heat pump company, see what it's like, sit in the design office maybe, see what it's like, or like go out on the tools, see what it's like there from that perspective. I think the key word is exposure. You know, certainly if the question is directed like, if you're not new to the industry but you want to get into it, you need to have a bit of an idea what it is, right? So watching YouTube channels, but I think at the end of the day, having real life exposure to what the industry is like. Coming to shows like this is also really important, isn't it, right? This is such a flavour of all the different sort of sectors within this kind of industry. It's so interesting, so vast as well, isn't it? That it's such a complicated, it is a complicated industry. You know, it's anything from like the components to the system design, it's vast. And going back to that technology question, and technology is constantly expanding and changing as well. And trying to keep up to date with that, it can be scary. And I think that, you know, linking up with a decent college, that's going to definitely help you, like with that transition into that new career, or you know, moving away from a different element within your plumbing department. You know, moving across to say design or to something practical, vice versa. So yeah, getting a relationship with a college, I think, is quite important, as well as doing any kind of online courses as well. You know, exposure. That's the key term there, I think.
Yeah, I will add also exposure for everyone in the industry to share experience.
Yeah.
I am sharing it on the channel, you are writing some things, you are explaining, so everyone who is in the industry also needs to share experience, because then we will approach new guys who will say, okay, we have regular guys here, we are all the same. Yeah. So thank you guys for having me here. Thank you everyone for watching. Watch other videos on our channel from UK series, and see you.